It's a hot one out there. I actually attempted to record this video outside yesterday, but it was way too hot, and also it was kind of noisy out, and so I just ended up walking to the park and having a nice afternoon knitting outside, and that was nice. But anyway, hot takes. That's what we're here to talk about. And I thought, why not? It's the summer, it's really hot. And if you don't know what that means, basically it's like a controversial opinion that people have out there. And I get those all of the time on comments and messages and everything. And you guys tell me what you think and what I did wrong and all these opinions about my knitting or knitting in general. So I thought, why not give you a platform and let you give me all of your hot takes regarding knitting and crafting, and I will read them to you. So these all came from my followers and subscribers that I put out a question both on YouTube and Instagram, and I got a lot of responses, and some of them are spicy, folks. So I thought I'd read them to you. I might give you some commentary. Sometimes I'm just gonna step back and read what you said, but it's just for fun, and feel free to drop any more hot takes you have down here in the comments. So let's dive right in, and I will keep all these anonymous, so don't worry if you dropped anything, and I'm just gonna read them. So let's go through the first one. Our first hot take says, you don't need to be advanced or skilled to be a knitter. And basically just saying, anyone who has picked up needles and made a few stitches can consider themselves a knitter. And I kind of agree with this one. I think sometimes, not just the knitting community, but a lot of communities or hobby-based communities get a little bit gatekeepy, and it's like,
But have you ever knitted the blue pattern by Max Mamalou?
I honestly sometimes, even though I've been knitting for a long time and I make videos about knitting and all that stuff, feel like I don't know half of the patterns that people talk about, or like I still learn new things every day. Is there some sort of like measurement that makes you like, once you do this, you're a knitter, once you knit a sweater, you're a knitter, no, I think that's silly. Once you pick up needles and do a few stitches, congratulations, you're a knitter, welcome. This next one says, plain t-shirt patterns are boring and overdone. Oof. Everybody knits whatever they want, but it's a hot take, and I kind of get this one. Like, I like to knit things that are interesting or challenging, or they'll look different, or just for fun, because to me knitting is fun, and knitting something plain and something that I could just buy at a store sometimes seems kind of boring to me, but some people enjoy doing that, so to each their own. To each their own. Hot take. I'm gonna keep saying that the whole time. Hot take. Here's another pattern related one. Patterns should be formatted for mobile first, not print. If you think about it, a lot of people are, including me, are knitting patterns from their phones and not to print. And this one kind of blew my mind, because as a pattern designer, I never thought of that, even though I do it myself. And I think you just assume that a lot of people like to print their patterns, and some people do. I never do. I never print it. So I don't know, maybe something to try. I might, next time I design a pattern, I might make it into mobile first and then like a printed version. Do both, more work. But this is really interesting. I literally never thought of this one. I don't know if this is a hot take, but they should stop trying to sell polyester yarn as cotton or wool. I actually reached out to this person to kind of like get more info on what she meant. And basically, it's just that sometimes, especially if you go to like a big box store, you'll buy something that has like the word wool in it, and then you actually look at the material and it is like 10% wool, or sometimes like not at all, and they just like, it feels like wool, but it's actually acrylic. And yeah, I never like thought of it, because I kind of knew, and I'm not gonna name brands, but there are some names out there that say wool and they're not actually wool. So I can see how if you're like starting to knit and you think you're gonna go buy wool, and then you buy something and then realize it's not wool, that's deceiving, and that's like deceiving marketing in general. So that's not cool. Not a hot take, I think. I agree. It's just wrong. I don't want my sweaters to look like I could have bought them. They need personality. This one, especially beyond the knitting community, people think it's such a compliment to say like, oh my god, that thing that you made looks like you bought it. It looks professional. Like I would have imagined it in a store. And like I can see where that's coming from, but is that the goal? Not always. I think everybody's goal is to make something wearable. Now, if they wanted to make it look professional or store bought, it's to each their own. But I agree. I know that my handmade stuff looks handmade, and I'm okay with that. Like it is handmade. Like it's fine. I think that's what this person's saying. Like if things look handmade, it's because they are, and that gives them personality. And I totally agree. And honestly, when I see somebody in the street that's clearly wearing a sweater or something else that looks like they knitted it, I have to contain myself to not be a weirdo and be like, oh my God, did you make that? Or did somebody make it for you? Because I can totally tell that it's handmade and I don't want it to seem like, first of all, weirdo in the street. And second, that someone might take it the wrong way. But it's true. It gives them personality. I agree with this hot take. I don't care about the name or theme of indie yarn. I only care about the color itself. I think this one's going to be a really hot one in a lot of communities. Some people, especially some designers or like yarn dyers, are really into their, themes. And this is the insert blank collection. And then the colors are inspired by whatever color the theme is. Spring and all the colors are like springy and la la la, and the names, and they put a lot of effort in that, and I appreciate that. Like that comes, I mean, it's probably part of I never dyed any yarn, so I don't know, but I'm sure it's part of the process of coming up with new colors, so that's cool. But like this person says, some of us, like, I'm just looking for blue yarn, dude. Like, I just want this specific color, and I don't really care if it's part of a theme or not. I just want this color. So I personally, I'm kind of in the same camp. Like, I don't go looking for so-and-so's theme, and I don't go buying just because a dyer released a new theme, and I gotta have it. Like, it's usually just like, oh, I really like that color because I want to make something in that color. I don't care what the color's name is. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys care about the themes and the color names? I don't know. Let's make a poll. Mystery yarns are mostly overrated, and usually I end up destashing them. I think this person's referring to like when you go to a yarn store or even online and you buy a mystery box that comes with like random yarn colors, and that that kind of gives it some sort of surprise element, and people seem to like that a lot. I mean, there's no doubt that there was this huge boom of all these toys. If anybody has kids or is around children, that all these toys that are just about the surprise, like open something, what is it? We don't know. Oh, well, might be this, might be that. Which one did you want? And I think that people are kind of taking that, putting it into things like yarn, and really, it's just a marketing technique to get rid of yarn that didn't sell. It's true. And so, not surprised that a lot of people end up buying these and not really being happy with them because they are the yarn that nobody wanted. So, yeah, probably true. This hot take comes from somebody who I believe is not a knitter or doesn't consider themselves a knitter, but maybe is interested in knitting. And they said, the vocab is impenetrable, and every pattern review reads like an exercise in superiority and gatekeeping. I think in general, like I said, in a lot of communities, including the knitting community, there can be a lot of like gatekeepy kind of behavior, and some people that just get this kind of like, oh, look at me, I have all these followers. And again, I'm not targeting anybody specifically. I think just in general, in any type of community in the internet, this seems to happen, and I've seen it in the knitting community. And it's kind of silly, like we're just grabbing string and sticks and making things with it. Like, nobody is superior to anyone. And I can see how, like, the vocab can be kind of hard to understand, especially when you're starting out, and a little bit, like, scary, which is why I've made several videos in which I'm trying to cater to, like, the beginner people and try to, like, show them that it's not as scary as it seems, and I'm trying to explain the vocab. I always try to, even though I have some advanced or pattern review videos, I always try to add videos in my channel that are more geared towards beginners so that people can find some sort of helping hand. And I remember starting out and being kind of confused and reading and rereading and rereading a pattern and not really getting it, and kind of feeling alone in it and not really having anybody to ask about it. But somehow I like kept going. But a lot of people I can see how fall, get a little bit discouraged just by all the discourse and all the vocab and all that stuff. So I'm sorry about this person's experience, and I hope that they find other people that don't do that, because it's a big community and not all of us are like that. I like to think I'm not like that, but please do call me out if I'm ever like that. Not swatching does not make you cool or edgy. And this is a hot take because there's a lot of jokes out there in social media about how like, oh, I never swatch and oops, now it doesn't fit, or like, ooh, when you don't swatch and it magically still fits. I think that's what they're getting at. And I think this person's just saying like, you're just skipping a step. That doesn't make you like magically, amazing just because you skipped a step. So what do you guys think? Swatching or no swatching? The things I most like to make are usually items I can actually use, so I gift them or sell them. I think this is true for a lot of people. Sometimes maybe you love knitting socks, but how many socks can you have? And I think about this too. I'm really intentional about the patterns and projects that I choose, because I want to use up my yarn and not just buy yarn infinitely and just have it sit there. Like I actually want to knit what I have. And that sometimes means the project that fits this, even though it's like a fun project to do, is not something I want to end up with. Or like how many sweaters, how many socks can you actually have? Like there is limited space, especially when you live in an apartment. So I totally understand. And I think gifting is a really good, and selling, it's a really good strategy to like, hey, I'm going to continue making what I want, but I'm not necessarily going to keep it all. And that's totally fine. Yeah. I agree with this take. Maybe one of the spicier takes, and I'm not gonna do a lot of commentary on this one. I'm just gonna drop it and you guys can discuss for the class. I am so bored with the cult of big name white women designers. I hate them all in my Ravelry. Actually, I said I wasn't gonna comment, but here goes my comment. I think this one gonna goes with the one I said earlier, that there in any community there's always like people that seem a little bit like gatekeepy and cliquey, and it's like, don't enter my group and that kind of stuff. And yeah, that sucks in general, regardless of who you are. Don't do that. It's not cool. And this person blocked them on Ravelry, and honestly, good for them. Like if that helps you, like, I don't want to see this person, whoever they, because of whatever reasons you have, then don't. That is a hot take, maybe. I don't have this one as a response, but I actually reposted this because I saw somebody else say it, and so I thought that would make that my hot take. My hot take is that I like knitting, and that's it. Like I don't really interested. A lot of people are interested in dyeing and spinning and all these other like crafts that are sort of related to knitting or knitted adjacent, yarn related. And other than crochet, because I know how to crochet and I do it sometimes, knitting is kind of my main craft. Well, and sewing. I've been sewing, but knitting mostly. And that's it. Like, I mean, I have a lot of already hobbies, and I have a lot of yarn, and I have all these like things that I want to make, and I am not really interested in like creating a specific color of yarn or spinning my own yarn. Like, good for everybody who does that, but these days I agree with this creator who posted the same thing, which is like a lot of people seem to be getting into that, and it's just like growing, and good for them. But I feel like zero pressure or interest into these other crafts, and I don't think I have the time or like mind space to ever get into it, and I don't care. That's my whole take. Like, I just want to knit. Is that a terrible thing? I don't know. You guys tell me. So I want to hear what you guys have. Like, I know that you have hot takes because you've told me before. So this is the space. Drop them. No judgment. Just tell me everything you think. Tell me you hate everything I just said, or that you agree or not. I want to hear from you, and I know it's a hot one out there, and I'm just cranking up the AC and trying to knit with smaller projects that are not going to make me too hot, and gotta get through the summer. The summer can be fun. You can use it to go outside and knit like I did yesterday, or you can use it to find hot takes. But it is harder to like dive into like a really big project like a sweater. I honestly don't really have the even the like capacity mentally to do it when it's so hot. So that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop, and I actually have a lot of projects coming up. So if you enjoyed this video or you wanna watch one of my other videos where I review some of the projects that I did do, go ahead and subscribe and like. It really helps me to keep this channel going and bring you more hot takes or other types of videos. Thank you for watching and happy knitting!